way to the dispensary just because I've been needing some management, like some real pain management. My hips have been hurting, and I don't know if I've discussed this before or not, but I have adult ADHD, so that's why a lot of times I look away from the camera, even though it's crazy because I'm almost making eye contact with myself, but I still turn my head around. I have long pauses because sometimes my brain is trying to figure out, you know, what exactly I'm trying to get out. But also I had a stutter really bad as a child, and when I say I had a stutter, I mean really bad. And you know, the city that I'm from, I'm very appreciative that they did have like a speech therapist in the elementary school, which helped me. But a lot of times when I'm not doing things like yoga, even marijuana helps to calm down my nervous system. You know, whatever's trying to be communicated, whatever's trying to come out, it comes out really, really fast. But, you know, when I'm stumbling over my tongue, stumbling over my words. So today I'm gonna go to the dispensary, and Rhea, baby girl, had a really good morning. It was kind of, like, I always say that word bittersweet because, like, you know, there's 8 years between my youngest son and my daughter. And I guess I just was looking for her to be like clung to my hip like my boys were, but she absolutely is not. She's super independent and she really does not care at all. Like, okay, we going to school? Okay, let's get up and go. So, you know, this morning threw me for a loop a little bit. I did end up getting breakfast from Chick-fil-A. My Chick-fil-A order for breakfast it's like a hash brown scramble, but I don't do it with no meat. So it's hash browns, eggs, cheese, and I love the salsa. And then I also get a fruit cup on the side. Oops, I'm gonna do this, y'all. And I also get a fruit cup on the side. That's my go-to Chick-fil-A breakfast order. We've been trying not to eat out. Breakfast is usually the hardest meal for me because most days I don't want to eat breakfast, but when I do, I do. So my son and I went to the store yesterday and we prepped some things for lunch and dinner for the rest of the week, but I didn't grab anything for breakfast, which I am gonna get some stuff to make smoothies. We do make smoothie kits from time to time, and that is going to be you know, my easiest thing is to get up and make a smoothie. So that's what I got going on today. I did get in a car accident about 2 years ago, well, almost 2 years ago at this point, March of 2024. And you know, after the physical therapy, after the chiropractor, I do practice yoga, not daily because of my life. I do need to get my own physical practice as well as my mental practice back in order. But most days of the week I am moving my body. I don't have as many demo heavy classes anymore, meaning, you know, it's straight instruction. I'm not really speaking a whole lot. I mean, I'm not really moving a whole lot. I'm just basically speaking through my classes. But you know, when you're a yoga instructor, you're just that. You're there to instruct, you're there to lead. You're not really there to, you know, move your own body and have your own practice while you're helping someone else. So that's that. Right now I am going over a bridge from Delaware to New Jersey. I just prefer the dispensary in New Jersey. Unfortunately, this is a bridge that someone lost their life on not too long ago, which is why I'm moving to the middle lane for my own sanity. He was driving a bobby cab, which is essentially like the front part of the 18-wheeler when they don't have a trailer or they're not hauling anything. It was a foggy day. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and this man did lose his life. Now they have been doing construction on this specific bridge for some time now, but for me, I'm gonna go ahead and get in the middle, just for my own reassurance. You know, if something's gonna happen, something's gonna happen. Where you are doesn't really matter. But I do feel it calms down my anxiousness. It calms down, you know, some of the things that I'm feeling. Also, because of, you know, my ADHD, I get hyper focused on things. So what I don't want to do is be hyper focused on this man's death and, you know, they did end up recovering the body, but for a while I would come over this bridge and I would be hyper-focused in the backstory. So what that meant is I would be literally daydreaming and coming up with scenarios instead of paying attention to, you know, what I do when I'm driving. And it's one of those things that I've dealt with my life, my entire life. But it's also one of those things where, you know, now there's so much more research. People know a lot more about ADHD, excuse me, and like what that means to be on the autism spectrum. So these are all things that we've dealt with as kids. I was born, and people would say mid to late. I was born in 86. I was born like the mid to late 80s. But you know, the way things were handled in the mid to late 80s and even in the 1990s, my kids go, "You're from the 1900s?" Yeah. It was a little bit different in regards to, you know, how we see things. I know back then, having ADD or ADHD, there was a line of kids that were getting medicated before we went to lunch. Like, you know, not realizing that that was going to keep us quiet and zombie-like for the rest of the afternoon. Also, if you were a little bit quirky, you didn't really, you know, there's always that one person, I'm going to say specifically in the black community, like, you know, quirky black girls, awkward black girls, a lot of times we're on the autism spectrum, and, you know, that's just what we said. Oh, she a little different, she quirky. That's my cousin, she's super smart, not really realizing that all of these were just labels or even masks that, you know, may have stopped us from getting the help that we really needed. So not only did our parents and, you know, our caregivers, aunties, grandmoms, whoever, didn't know what was going on with us, a lot of times the doctors didn't even have the research, or if they did have the answers in the research, you know, because of poverty, because of disparities, like, that information wasn't being communicated to the black community until they wanted to do an experiment. I remember being in elementary school and being in a program called Talented and Gifted, which I was intellectually talented, but really it was a room full of children with ADHD and ADD and other behavioral issues that were super intellectual, but they put us all in this space so that we weren't disrupting other classrooms. And I mean, ultimately we thought it was like a great thing, but I did in fact find research of this program. Like, you know, a lot of inner cities were doing it, and it's, you know, not a coincidence that these classrooms were full with black and brown children that were intellectually brilliant, but I truly believe they were studying, you know, how we were functioning with ADD and ADHD in the real world. And, you know, once I went to college, you know, I didn't realize that people were reaching out to me and trying to give me extra help because of that very reason, because I was in that program at elementary school and they knew that I needed assistance. But what I will say is my stutter is very limited now when I'm doing things to control my nervous system and, you know, control my breathing and even, you know, my thought patterns. Like, the stuff I learned in speech therapy when I was 8 and 9 years old, I still use at 39. So I say all of that to say, you know, me smoking marijuana has nothing to do with me just trying to get high. At this point, it's for medicinal purposes. So I'm gonna head on into this dispensary. I'm gonna check in with y'all later.